Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about Star Wars Andor, baby. I'm here with cousin Cheeto. How you doing?
I am here to be in the clear.
Well, this is episode 9, and nobody's listening. And you could kind of get a vibe of the name of this episode being an influence to what was happening during the course of this episode, because whether it be Andor trying to talk to the fellow inmates in wanting to do a jailbreak, which I was very happy that was kind of what was happening during the course of this episode, trying to organize one, as well as maybe Mon Mothma talking in the Senate and everyone switching off their pods, not giving a flying fuck. Nobody was listening. Another good episode, another solid episode. Definitely the setup for next week's jailbreak, which I do feel will definitely be happening. But there were some interesting moments regarding once again more character development, more world development, more understanding of what's going on. The lines being drawn in the sand as well. Great stuff. What did you think of this episode, Cheetah?
I think it's pretty much on par as of last week, which is not bad. I mean, as I said, this series is great. It's good. The problem is that they've set the bar pretty high for themselves. So as of right now, I mean, I'm still kind of waiting for. There's a we'll get into it as we go through the issue. Any of my gripes about this episode though, or even the last episode, were nitpicky. So, I mean, I am going to have some complaints, but they're not going to be anything major. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. I would do this show slightly different, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think it's bad. I feel like what I would do is like right there, but it's like they're not. It's just not where it is. So I'm trying to be outside of myself and enjoy the episode for what it is. But there, some of the issues are just kind of glaring at me, where I'm like, oh come on, you're right
Well,
there.
explain an issue to me.
Just I mean, like we're not spending enough time with Mon Mothma and the Senate, and we're not spending enough time with the ISB agent lady. I mean, we are spending more time with her, yes, but I really feel like that these past couple episodes should have been more about her, Mon Mothma, and Luthen, who was not at all in this episode, by the way. I wanted to see those while Andor's kind of shacked up in prison. I really don't care about this Shawshank Redemption type. Like honestly, like the most least interesting part of what's going on here, for me is the whole prison thing. Like I'm like I don't care. Like I really don't. Andor's in prison. They're using him as manual labor. Fine, but we're spending way too much time on that when we could be learning more about Mon Mothma, the politics and everything like that. The ISB, what they're doing. We could be even diving more into that. Luthen, what he's doing, who he knows. We saw a little bit of that last week with Saul Guerrero, but it's like lean into that. Lean into this other stuff. I don't care about Andor in jail, in the pokey. I want them to lean away from Andor. Like you can do a jailbreak, but don't man, they are just really leaning into this whole jail arc and everything like that. And it's just like we're going on the fourth episode with this. And I mean, well, third episode of him being incarcerated. But like we're really leaning on this and it's not it's good, but it's not where I want this. That's what I'm saying. Like that's not where I want this show to be. I want it to be like I want it to be out with Mon Mothma and all the other characters that I just mentioned. I don't want it to be in the prison. Like if you want to do a prison, I mean, do the Shawshank Star Wars Redemption or something like that, and advertise it as that. This is just kind of like meh. So
Okay, I,
anyway,
just to just to counter because last week you were complaining about the episode being a bit too Andor heavy, and I have to agree with you. Maybe to a degree it was a little bit. I don't understand. I don't mind us understanding the digs that he's in, so it gives us it'll make us probably appreciate the jailbreak a lot more when it does finally happen. But I thought this episode they spread the wealth out quite well.
they
Um,
split it out better, but not nowhere near as much as I think they should have.
Okay, I mean, like, at the beginning of the episode, we see Bix being tortured, and we kind of understand what this torturing mechanism is. It's It's
It's a bunch of
the
incels complaining on loop on YouTube.
that too. But what it is that the Empire they destroyed this planet. Because I think or they destroyed the inhabitants of this planet, but they want to use it for mining or fueling or something like that. Um, and because of the destruction they caused to that planet, they managed to also record all the suffering that this particular species, which was living on this planet, suffered. And they used the sounds of that suffering to torture Biggs, which is a very unusual way. But I honestly can't imagine how that could be so torturous. Hearing people scream all the time. Maybe, but maybe,
They said, well,
you listen to hard metal music. That's all you fucking hear. You know what I mean? So, anyways,
I think it was more the sound they make. It works on your psyche
yeah.
rather than like it just being listening to people yell and scream or whatever. It's because they said they make a sound, more like, it's not, it wasn't like a vocalization, it was a sound that they made. So, as they were dying or whatever. So I really feel
The,
like that. And then they said they tweaked it a bit and they layered it and they did, so they did some stuff to it. It's not just like they were listening to it and that's what happened. But yeah.
because what I liked about this entire scene was the way Dedra was just going into Bix by mind fucking her before they even started torturing her. She wants to find out who's at the other end of this radio device because they already fucked over the guy who owned the Radio Shack that she was going into.
Radio
Um,
Shack.
well, that's the only way I could describe it. But the
I
Radio
don't
Shack
know. It's funny.
she was going into, and she was the only person using that device. Though you would think it would be used by lots of different people, but no, it's only her. And she obviously knows the person on the other end, so they want to find out who that person is, as well as obviously getting hold of Andor. And then we come across this nerdy guy, obviously the torturer and stuff like that, who explains it all and basically tells her, if you want to ask me anything, just nod your head. it was so it was so bizarre, and you can see how it affected her. And by the latter scenes, with Bix, like by the time they were finished done torturing her, she ended up looking like she was like a heroin addict, a proper crackhead. It really fucked her over, and she was absolutely exhausted from it. But they don't want to obviously kill her yet because she's too important. If she has a relationship, as far as they're concerned, with Andor, then she could be a person who can come back to maybe try to rescue her, so to speak. So, but in jail though, when we do see Andor, he's asking loads of questions about the guards, the shifts they take. And we also have a lot of focus on the old man in their group when they're doing all the construction, and you can tell it's taking its toll on him. I mean, the guy's only got 41 days left until his shift ends, but still, it is finally starting to take its toll on him as well. And then we obviously do uh, follow Mon Mothma in the Senate, and she's talking about imperial overreach. But at that particular time, when she's talking about it, you see all the pods start to shut off. And this kind of just reminds me at the beginning of New Hope, where the Senate is already a thing of the past, and it's just full on empire now as well. And you can see it all happening. And even before all of that, Andor, he has that toilet break, and they don't call it they actually called it used to be a refresher, but now they're actually calling it a toilet, which I'm not liking, by the way. They should just go back to calling it a refresher again. But regardless, he's doing some filing on a pipe, and then a new guy comes in, and then him and the inmate, they kind of figure out that the elevator section is not connected to the electric thing because anything that moves you can't get fried on, basically. So that was all into play regarding the potential jailbreak. Anything you picked up on? Anything you want to mention so far, or want to add to regarding what I've said?
I know the interrogation scene I thought was very interesting about the way that they did it. I thought it was very, very imperial because they think they make it seem like it's more humane just because it's not physical, because like they were even saying this is not a physical process or anything like that, like this, but still, I mean, it's psychological abuse. So I find it funny though that because the Empire's like, we didn't beat you up, it's not torture, like it's like waterboarding. It's like are you, I mean, no, we're just pouring water on them, but it's like it's torture. Like it's emotional and
Mm-hmm.
psychological torture. That was really interesting to me. I knew that as soon as I saw the old guy in the first episode or the couple episodes ago when they first got there, I knew that he was going to die before they got out. I mean,
Well, he's the old guy,
that
isn't he?
yeah, he's the old guy, so of course he's gonna die. And of course he's getting close to his parole date or whatever you want to call it. So I that didn't surprise me whatsoever. Um, but up to this point so far, I just knew once he started, like, they started mentioning, what do you mean? We just told you 2 minutes ago. I said, there it is. I really feel like this is unless next episode knocks it out of the park, which it could. I really feel like that they're wasting Andy Serkis here. Andy Serkis is great. I love him, and he's great in this role. I just really feel like they're wasting him right now. And hopefully, maybe they will prove me wrong in the next couple episodes when maybe Andor and Andy Serkis break out, and then he becomes like a main character in the last couple episodes, or he may die on the way out. Who knows? But again, I just kind of am like, okay. As I said, I'm kind of done with this whole prison thing. I really, really am. Go ahead. That's it.
All right. In the chamber tunnel sort of thing, when they're between going to their workplace and going to their bedrooms, you see like the different tunnels doing sign language to each other, and they kind of get information back saying that something's happened to on level 2, and obviously the prison starts speculating, and we'll get back to that in a bit. But once they're back in their chambers, Andor's talking to Andy Serkis about escaping. Because Andy's only got maybe he's got like 230 days. He's got less than a year until he's done. So he doesn't want to hear it. He's worried about the walls having ears. But Andor assures him that nobody is listening, and he wants to keep knowing about how many guards there are and all of that. But obviously, Serkis is keeping his mouth stum. But he then screams, "Nobody's listening," and I just like that. It was just a really good moment. Anytime you want to add something, let me know.
As I said, I mean, it's
Okay.
funny because he's right. Like Andor's right. Nobody's listening. Like they're not listening. Why do they have to listen to us? They just turn these floors on, and then we're subservient again. Like he's right. Like it's just it's a pretty. Unfortunately, it's a very efficient prison. On top of that, they're building shit for the Empire. So I would like to know, and I really hope we find out what they're building, like what those stupid little like butthole starfish looking
Well, so some people
things.
think it could be like the sort of skeleton for the TIE fighters.
It
They'll
could
like
be.
they'll like, yeah, stuff like that. But they look too small because the TIE fighters they're not small ships; they're
So
big ships.
I
So
somebody said it might have been like a truss segment, like the main segment for the bottom of probe droids,
yeah,
like those
yeah, I heard that too.
like because like if yeah, they have it flipped up on its side, but if you flip it down, it kind of has that same look of all the attachments and stuff. I don't know. I don't even have a really that much of a guess. I mean, a piece of a TIE fighter is probably. I mean, sometimes it might be the center segment for their S foils on the side. The straight up and down S foils.
Hmm.
So it might be like that very middle piece that connects to the actual TIE fighter, and then the S foils come out from it. It might be that. I could see that, but as I said, I have no earthly idea. Leave
I'll be honest,
your
I'm not
thoughts
really.
down below on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, please do. I mean, I'm curious. I myself personally am not too fast. All I know, I look at it from a different perspective, is the fact that it's just slave labor,
Hmm.
and these workers say, and this is the thing in the world we live in. Just generally, we sometimes believe that if we do what we're told to do, then we'll get our rewards in the end. But as we find out later in this episode, that's not necessarily the case. So, going back to the ISB, we're at the headquarters there, and Dedra is explaining the heist on Eldani and how maybe Andor are connected. She's obviously, they still don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, Andor is somebody they're looking for, but they don't necessarily. But that's also to do with Cyril and his incident on was it FedEx, name of the planet he was on. Um,
like Ferrex or
Farrix,
Fag. Yeah,
Farrix, yeah,
yeah.
Farrix. I apologize. So, because of his involvement with Farrix and him getting the attention of the ISB, Deirdre is using that information now herself to maybe try and connect the dots and see if what happened on Eldani is to do with Andor. So the rumors are on level 2 is that because after another day's shift, as people are crossing paths and stuff like that, is that the whole of level 2 had been fried, and Andor tells Circus is that okay, fine, we know this information. It's still rumor. It's not hasn't been clarified, but it's best for us not to let the guards know that we know this information. We have to play dumb here. So even though whatever information has come to us, we don't know. So yeah, and Circus makes sure he lets everyone else know that. Circus has this thing about where he just wants everyone to shut up. He doesn't want anyone to talk, but that's how he operates. We get obviously Cyril and Cyril's mum having a conversation, eating their cereal and blue milk, and she's telling Cyril's mum that is that look, you need to be more grateful to me. I kind of helped you out. I got you this job, stuff like that. And he mentions about his promotion, but he's be working more hours and stuff like that. But we kind of find out a little bit later, which I'll come to, why he got his promotion. But Mon Mothma, after her time in the Senate, she meets Vel, and apparently Vel's supposed to be a cousin. And Vel's a bit like a female Bruce Wayne to a degree. She's like this sort of playgirl princess who likes to act all spoiled and stuff. But really, she's not like that at all. She's a freedom fighter.
She's apparently a part of, because Mon Mothma is, well, she's not a queen or anything, so it's not like a royal family. She's just kind of like, I don't know. They're just probably rich on the home planet.
Yeah, exactly. And they kind of both come to terms because after what happened in the Senate and the way things are going with the Empire, they kind of come into terms on what side they're going to be in all of this. But even though they're living a very, well, it's definitely Mon Mothma, she's living a very luxurious life. Her conscience is not clear. She knows shit's going down, and it won't take it doesn't take a long time until people like her will end up being affected herself just for being different, and she ends up becoming a liability to the Empire because they want everyone to fall in line.
Mm-hmm. And she won't do it.
And then obviously Tay comes into play. He's obviously the guy who's like transferring her money, but even that's becoming a bit too dangerous now because like if the Empire finds out how much money you're transferring, they're going to question her and she'll come under scrutiny. Mm-hmm. And then Tay recommends that she gets involved with a man called Davos Calden. Now, I was thinking, who the fuck is this Davos Calden? Have we seen him before in this show? I don't think we have. But this Davos Calden, he's going to be somebody I believe we'll see in the next episode. And he's going to be that, he's how what's the word? But that person who is not very good, but you need to rely upon, a bit like Evil Giorgio, when on Discovery,
like a necessary evil.
That's it. That's the phrase I was looking for. A necessary evil. So yeah. So I think we're going to meet this person next week, Davos Calden. I don't like them name dropping people we haven't fucking seen yet. That feels a bit weird. But anyway,
I was kind of looking it up while you were talking. Like I don't know the name either, but I was trying to at least look it up so we know what we're talking about. But I don't see anything. So yeah, it must be somebody new.
Well, Cyril himself, like this guy's a man on a fucking mission, by the way. Like, he's relentless, and he confronts Dedra and kind of thanks her for a promotion. Dedra says she has nothing to do with that, but at the same time says it was a service to the Empire. And he comes across a bit stalkerish. He says that he hangs. He either hangs around, waits there, stuff like that. I don't think he's like trying to make a pass at her, but he definitely he confesses his admiration for her. Like, me and you, we want the same thing. I actually hit rock bottom, he said, until I met you. You inspired me.
You complete me.
You complete me, yeah, exactly. And it was a bit of a creeper move and stuff like that. And like he was holding on to Deirdre's hand, not letting her arm and not letting her walk off. She gave him a couple of chances as well. But basically said, if I see you again, I'm gonna fuck you over, and you're gonna pay, and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting where Cyril goes now. But there was a lot of speculation regarding Cyril throughout the show once he lost his job as a blue coat. So people were wondering which way he would turn. Would he be a good guy or a bad guy? Would he be join the rebels or would he stay with the Empire?
I think
And
he's going
it's
to stay
starting
with
to
the
look,
Empire. I mean,
yeah,
there's
it's
no
starting to
way
look,
he's a lifer.
yeah.
He's definitely a lifer, no matter what.
And not just that, his hard on for Andor, it's massive. It really is. And he just wants to get Andor so fucking badly. There's no way that he'll be a rebel. I just can't see it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you're right. He's a lifer for the Empire. He believes in the Empire's cause and all of that. So
I honestly feel like they could fuck him over royally even more, and he would still believe in the Empire and justice and order from the Empire. Like it's the brainwashing that the Empire puts their people through. I mean, it just worked
I
really
think
well on him.
there's an element of him that he wants to be where they are as well. Like he
Yeah,
understands what they do, and he wants to be the person doing to him. Well,
he has stature and stature
yeah,
envy.
he wants, yeah, exactly. So we do get a little brief moment with the ISB, and they're talking about some rebel ship, and it might be connected, obviously, to the overall investigation that they're doing. It was all just hearsay and talk at this particular moment. So, regarding how that pans out, I don't think we'll see. Obviously, we saw nothing really on it regarding this week. I think it will be a story thread that will continue after next week, in my opinion. So we'll see how that pans out. But the final section of this episode, um, was that after the shift is done, the old man in Andor's group is fucked. Circus, like he's not even able to stand up properly for like a little check and stuff. And then obviously table one as well, they do the worst, and we hear them getting fucking tortured and everything. It's fucked, man. It's just a reminder to all these groups what's in store for you if you don't succeed. Anyways, so with the old man now being fucked, Circus and Andor looks after him as a medic pays the old man a visit. The old man's only 40 shifts now away, but the medics can't save him. He suffers from a stroke, so he is it euthanizes him? Is that the
Pretty
term?
much, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he euthanizes. I mean, more or less, he euthanizes him.
puts him to sleep like a dog, unfortunately, and and lets him die peacefully. But then the medic tells Circus and Andor, another week like this, and you'll be begging for what he just had, you know. So Andor thinks, "What the fuck? Yeah, what are you on about?" And medic then tells him, it says that a man who was on level 4, ready for release, was taken down to level 2. Word got out, and all the inmates were killed. Andor Circus realizes that nobody is getting out of this place alive. And as they're walking back to their rooms, Andor asks Circus how many guards in each level. And then Circus, with no hesitation now, but he understands what the hell's going on too, says there's no more than 12 on each level. So he doesn't know exactly how many there are, but it's never more than 12. So boom, the jailbreak, the planning of it, which we saw little tidbits of in this particular episode, it's full on. Now I don't think it'll be planning and then the following episode we're going to go into the jailbreak. I think it's going to happen this episode because I do feel the last 2 episodes is going to be a confrontation with Luthen, because Luthen still wants Andor dead. Val is still trying to find Andor to kill him himself, and I think there'll be some sort of confrontation there as well. Who knows? We might even see how Sol Guerrera ends up getting his respirator, or what the fuck it's called, but we obviously haven't seen that so far. So there is a few loose ends to tie up. Um, I'm happy to see the setup and set up a very engaging setup, and I know not everything was to your liking in this particular episode, but once again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm loving this direction that Star Wars is going. It is for
And
me.
well, and let me put it this way: if Star Wars keeps giving us more stuff like this and less stuff like Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and like season 2 of The Mandalorian, I'm okay. I didn't hate this episode. I just they're I just want them to tweak the series so that they're focusing more on the ensemble rather than more so on Andor. And you're right. This episode was a little bit better with sharing the wealth. But then again, we didn't see anything of Luthen this week. So like that extra time that they had, it was basically allocated to Luthen and Serial, and it was all kind of divided up. I felt like we spent just as much time with Andor as we did the previous week. And as I said, I know it's his show, but I was hoping more for the global world building of Star Wars universe, the underbelly of the Star Wars universe, like the ISB part of the Empire and the formation of the rebellion and everything like that. So I'm not saying it's like, as I said, I'm not saying this is a bad episode at all. I just really wish they would lean more into the other characters rather than spending so much time, in
Well,
prison.
we've only got 50 minutes, and I think a lot of the characters have been given a fair crack of the whip. This is Andor's show at the end of the day. It's not called, as you said earlier, it's not called Star Wars Rebels, or I know,
I
even though
know. I
there is
wish
a
it
show called
was.
Rebels. Then obviously you might have an argument there, and then we could follow these different groups and stuff like that. But it's good to see characters like Mon Mothma on our screen getting way more character development than she ever did get in the movies, as well as some of these other characters like Luthen and Vel. Wondering if they are going to survive, if they're not going to survive.
I
It's
think
all
I think
very
Luthen's
interesting.
not. I think Cass. I think not. I think Cassian Andor is going to kill Luthen. I think he's. I think he's going to. Luthen is going to confront Andor, and I think Andor is going to kill him. Like I think he's going to kind of give him no choice.
That's a possibility, but he's still. But Luthen represents the rebels, so in a way
But I
that
think then
can't.
Cassian is going to take up his fight. You know what I mean? Either that or Luthen's just going to get killed by the Empire, and Cassian's going to, in his honor, you know, be that person in the rebellion. He's got to get. Here's the thing about him in the rebellion. I mean, I'm not expecting him to become the hero of the rebellion that he kind of was in Rogue One, like by the end of the season. But there's got to be a way to get him. They got to start leaning into getting him with a purpose with the rebellion, because yeah, he's in jail, he's getting mistreated by the Empire, so is like 50,000 other people in that
I
in that
think Bix is going to be one of his purposes.
well, I
For a
think they're
start.
going to kill her. I think they're going to kill her,
I,
and I think that's going to also set him over the
I think Andy
edge.
Serkis is going to die next week. I think his character will be killed
Probably.
off.
I say either that or he's going to join the
And
rebellion, but I don't think so. I think he's going to die. He's going to be like what was it, Yusuf in Iron Man 1? He says, "Do it."
what did you know that one of the guys in his group who are doing the construction with him is actually also in Rogue One? He doesn't talk much to him, but he's part of his contingent in Rogue One. So I will definitely see him obviously survive this. Him and Andor will probably escape together. Yeah, I do think Circus is going to die. That's going to be one of his motivations. I think his mum's going to get killed. That's going to be
Mhm.
another motivation, and obviously Bix being killed, which will be another motivation. These are all the things that will make him want to fight against the Empire for sure.
I don't think everybody's going to die, because I think they're still going to bring some people back for season 2. So if they don't kill Bix off this season, I figure they're probably going to bring her back but she's going to definitely be like traumatized, and maybe kind of be like, she's going to be much different. You know what I mean? Like she's not going to be the same Bix that Andor knows. You know what I mean? Like she's going to be this totally different person that is not, I don't know, like I don't want to say a vegetable, but more like just cut off and socially, like, you know, you know, um, um,
Or like like she's got dementia or something.
Yeah, like kind of like a dementia, like like she doesn't know how to like the brain is not processing what she wants to say or do, out in the real world. So I feel like there's definitely going to be those kind of repercussions. It's kind of like it's kind of like people who say like in Civil. Well, I was just watching Civil War, Captain America, but it's like it's, oh, there's no casualties, there's no stakes. Rhodey got paralyzed, so I think that there's going to be stakes in this show, and it's not all going to be just death. Like I think there's going to be people that are permanently
T'Challa's father
changed.
got killed off. Like he was like a big diplomat and all of that. And there was a lot of cannon fodder, I guess, that might have got killed off during the course of the episode. Maybe when they're in Poland or whatever. And the way is it Nemo? I forgot his name.
Nemo.
God, no, the bad guy of Civil War, the one
You
who
mean
reads the
Zemo?
book. Zemo, my bad. He drowns the guy in the fucking toilet.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a toilet, it was a basin. He hung
Yeah,
him
yeah,
upside
but it's
down.
still,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's still the toilet unit itself. So
Yeah.
it's good.
But go ahead.
I also want to add, like, we haven't seen K2SO yet. Is he going to be in this season? I
I don't
personally
know.
think they
I
should leave
feel
him
like
for
he's going to be
next.
more next season. Maybe they'll bring
Yeah,
him in.
I wouldn't want to. I think it would be a disservice to bring him so late into this season. I I I don't, because we're at a stage now where I feel like I don't want him to be necessarily starting new relationships with somebody, especially like K2SO, who ends up being his Chewbacca. Bring K2SO maybe episode 2 or 3 in season 2.
Yeah, like
So
right
we
there in
can
the
see.
beginning of I agree. Right in the beginning of season
Yeah,
2. No, I agree.
and then we
If
can see.
like the end of at the end of episode 12, if like if the end of the two-parter finale, whatever they're gonna call it, if that's like, and then like at the end of that, like K2SO kind of like throughout the course of the episode, he reprograms him or whatever. Yeah, you're right. It's a disservice because it's like, okay, so now we got to wait till next season to actually get more, like get any K2SO. I'd rather it be at the beginning of next season when we can just enjoy him for the whole season.
It's funny in a way, because in a way, I'm finding the whole Andor arc to be so fascinating in a way that I have to remind myself that K2SO has to play a part, and in a way he does. And the funny thing is, I don't really care about K2SO in the sense, because I'm finding Andor and all of this darkness to be way more interesting.
Well, and here's the thing is that a lot of people said that K2SO was more interesting than Andor in Rogue One. Like everyone said the droid was more interesting than him. So I think it's good that they're taking all this time on Andor, like this whole season, before we actually, because it would have sucked if we got K2SO super early in the in this series. Like we get to spend a whole season with Andor without his side piece. So I mean
Hello,
K2SO is who I mean, but
yeah, I totally agree. And hello, Jim, as well. As I said earlier, it does feel, unfortunately, we do have to have K. I say unfortunately in the wrong terms, but K2SO do has to come in there. But just Andor surviving on his own is just far more interesting, you
yeah,
know.
it
And
makes
it
it
ends up being
easier
buddy
too
cop.
because
Yeah,
because it's like right now it's like Andor's on his own. Andor, we can move with the character without it having to have too much baggage with him at this point. Because honestly, yeah, Andor's on his own. Like he went on
he's
his
a
own.
loner.
Yeah, right now. So I think by the end of the series, he won't be a loner. I think he's going to, I think kind of some of these factors are going to come together and going to kind of I don't know. He's not going to be he's not going to be alone at the end. I think he's going to have several people surrounding him, the rebels. I wonder if Andor is going to meet Mon Mothma in the last episode of this season, or if they're still going to put that out there for like next season. That it would be interesting if Mon Mothma and Andor never meet in this season. Like all these things are going on and they kind of relate to one another, but like they never meet, at least not until next season.
Well, I don't really know if they have some sort of relationship or whatever. It just I just look at it for the fact that we're seeing different sides of this rebellion, from the people on the ground to the people high up. who are having to fund it, and the people who have to fight it. And that's my perspective of things. And sometimes those two different ends of the spectrum never really meet. Obviously, they do meet in Rogue One, but I can't remember if it seemed like they knew each other, if they even talked to each
I
other.
I I think Mon Mothma mentioned Cassian. I think so. I mean, I know that they knew of each other. They had to have. They were in the same base. Cassian was a pretty high up rebel agent. You know, like I mean it.
How does he be like? Honestly, like how does that happen? Like, but the thing is, because this whole series is a retcon. Yeah, because Andor was saying in Rogue One that he's been fighting the rebels saying since he was 6 years old or 12 years old or whatever. But that's not really the case when you watch this series.
Well,
I mean, he's a
and the
man.
way
This is only 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. So
but they also he also was fighting the Empire when they first came to his planet when he was younger. So
yeah, but they made him
he didn't
sound out
say
like he
he's
was
been
actually part of the rebellion. That's
no,
what they
but
were
he didn't
coming.
say that though. He just said that
Yeah,
he just inferred that he had been fighting the rebellion since he was that young. He never said he had been fighting for the rebellion since he was that young. I know I agree with you. It is kind of a retcon, but at the same time, it's like he's not wrong. You know, like it's stupid. It's like okay, you're not wrong, but we know what you're doing here. So
I enjoyed your your cola vid. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure doing it, and I still have one more can, by the way. This was my backup can, just in case I thought that if I did when I did the review that I was gonna fuck it up, so I brought a second can just in case. So
By
yeah,
the way, everybody, just really quick, go over into the chat. We have the poll up for the ranking of this episode. We'd like to hear what your ranks are of this episode. So there's about what 10, 11 people watching. If you are, please go ahead and give us your vote. We want to hear what you guys thought of this episode.
I'm gonna give it my vote just now. Give me 1 second.
Nada.
There we go. I just voted it myself. All right.
Okay.
So I think we're at that stage now where we should actually be voting this episode.
That's why I
What are
said
you
it.
gonna give it?
I'm I'm gonna I'm gonna give it an 8 because as I said, it's not bad at all. I never said that this was a stupid or a garbage episode or anything like that. But I really, as I said, it's more of a personal preference, but I really, really, really wish they would lean into more of the other characters rather than Andor in prison. I stand by that. I'm not saying the show is garbage. I'm not saying the show is bad. I just if I could run it my way, I would run it a little bit different. I would run the show a little bit differently. I don't know better than a lot of these people, so I can't say much, but yeah, I'll set. If I was going to do a point, I'd do 7.5. But I mean, because I'm literally right there on the fence between 7 and 8. Um, but I'll go with 8 because this week had more side character time than last week's did.
The funny thing is, your 8 is almost like is almost with like a lot of negative connotations, whilst I'm giving it an 8 as well, but I'm way more positive about it. You know,
Well, then
I
shit, I'm
thought,
giving it a 7 then.
but I did like this episode very much. It goes to show that you can have so much Star Wars content without a single blaster, bolt, or shot, or whatever, a single lightsaber, or anything along those lines, and just be so fucking riveting. You can show the evilness of the Empire. You can show the desperation of not even the rebels, just regular people. In this case, prisoners. Coming to realizing their fates and stuff like that. And obviously, a lot of these prisoners, you can tell with the world that they're living in now. Like these guys are prisoners, but they're not bad people. Like all of these guys, like they're just people thrown in jail. For maybe for the most minor of misdemeanors. Like it could be jaywalking, 5 years. Boom. Um, it could be something along those lines.
I mean, with Andor, it was just
Uh,
wrong place, wrong time. Technically, he didn't do anything wrong when he was arrested. Now, he did do something wrong. That was karma catching up with him. But he still did nothing wrong where like in that instance where he was.
Yeah, I always find it ironic though and funny that he created a crime. He did a crime that cause the Empire to punish people a lot more, and then he ends up getting punished for something he didn't do. But yeah, if it wasn't for him doing that crime in the first place, maybe he'd only got 6 months instead of 6 years, and probably he wouldn't get fried either, because it looks like obviously the Empire are in such a going through such a transformation now. But initially it was like, like Iron Fist rule, but now it's Iron Whip, Iron Rod. Like you don't fuck with us and stuff like that. And it's the Empire obviously striking back and punishing everybody, under their so-called protection. And yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I'm loving the direction of this show, and I can't wait for next week. I think next week is going to be a very, very interesting episode, and I do feel that most of the planning of the jailbreak would have already been concluded by very early into the beginning of next week's episode, because you could already tell that, with like the tidbits of planning in this episode, asking how many guards there are, who's coming down the elevators, and how the fact that they are not, you don't get electrocuted on them, all of these little tidbits, they already know these things. So to execute the plan, excuse me, will happen very early on. And then obviously once all of that is concluded, then maybe the final quarter or third of the episode will be to do with Andor's final arc, which whatever that may be, obviously dealing with Luthen for sure, as well, and maybe meeting up with some of the other protagonists as well as antagonists in this episode, like Deirdre, who's probably the main antagonist, in my opinion. Would you say?
Yeah, I at this part I wouldn't say it's serial. Like maybe in the first couple episodes I said would say it
Cyril ain't
was.
shit, man.
I know that's what I'm
Cyril,
saying. Like I don't know why. Like I know it's a slow burn, and they're building him up for whatever's going to happen in the last two
well,
episodes. But he's just there. It's like almost like they have failure to launch with him. Like it's
no, but
just
maybe
like
that's it though. That's the whole point though. Like maybe your expectations for Cyril is a bit too much. Maybe that's the whole point. Like he's expecting more than what he's getting. You're expecting more than what he's supposed to be getting, and that's the whole point. You know,
I mean, if Deidre just just shoots him at one point, I mean that would be, I would probably laugh my ass off. Like I would
he's too
be.
useful.
I think she see. I think honestly, by the end of the season, Deidre's gonna bring Cyril in, and I think I think that's a shame because I feel like she should have done it way before this. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it should have been something that was handled episodes ago, like when they first met. Which was what, episode 5? No, 6,
Well,
5.
I don't know about that. I think Cyril is still going to be, you know, like lurking from behind, seeing what the hell's going on, and maybe try to intervene at a point where he thinks it's okay to intervene. You know, you can tell he wants to obviously work for the Empire again. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But in that
he loves
particular
that
topic,
empire.
yeah. So I do think we'll get that. But regarding Dedra, it's hard to know what's going to be going on, because all the other members of the ISB, they've been very irrelevant in this episode. There was that one guy, the other guy, who was her counter. We never saw him at all in this episode.
Mhm.
I think he got relegated or something along those particular lines. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. And I just feel that sometimes maybe like there'll be more, as you said earlier, regarding Luthen and Andor. I think that's where the real beef is going to happen, and maybe Deirdre doesn't do much until maybe next season. I don't want her to get killed off. I think she's a very good character. I think maybe her investigations into Andor will go into next season.
Yeah, I don't think I honestly think Deidre's going to get promoted, and then
Mm,
I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think that her boss, and I can't remember his name, the old guy that kind of gives us Tarkin vibes. I think that guy is
yeah,
going to get promoted to mustache guy, who's in Rebels and all that other garbage.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that guy's going to get promoted. Then Deidre's boss is going to get promoted, and then Deidre's going to be in contention for that seat, like that main seat. even though she's so young. I
Yep.
think I think that the boss guy of that is so impressed with her that I think he's honestly going to name her as, or at least put her in contention as one of his successors.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. That sounds quite reasonable actually. So yeah.
I'm a
All right.
reasonable
So
guy.
yeah. So okay. So I think that's enough Andor for now. We'll be back tomorrow talking on Star Trek Prodigy. That's also Cheeto's favorite show of all time,
Oh
of all
yeah,
the Star
I
Trek
love it
shows as
so
well.
much.
I just want to also add that I've just finished watching a show on Amazon Prime called The Devil's Hour, which stars Peter Capaldi, former Doctor Who, Brainiac in Suicide Squad. If you want to really know who he is, yeah, he's done a show on Amazon Prime. It's a British drama, supernatural and all of that sort of bollocks. I just finished watching it. I will be doing a review of it, and I'll have it out sometime this particular week. It'll be spoilers, of course, but until then, don't forget to join us tomorrow for Star Trek. We're done here with Star Wars. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. And take care. Bye bye. Live long and prosper.